you. I'm calling to order the Planning Commission meeting for Monday, February 9th, 2026. It is 6:32 p.m. We will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Secretary Tang, would you like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Secretary Sanchez, will you please call the roll?
Yes, sir. Commissioner Tang? Thank you. Commissioner Lee is absent. Vice Chair McMorris?
Here.
Thank you. Chair Kratman?
Here.
Thank you so much.
Tonight's meeting is live streamed on Cable 3 and our online platforms. To prevent any overlap in comments, each commissioner will be called upon to speak. Now is the time for public comment. This is a time set aside for members of the public to address the Planning Commission on items of interest that are not on the agenda, but are within the subject matter and jurisdiction of the Planning Commission. Pursuant to the Brown Act, the Planning Commission cannot answer any questions or take any action until such time as the matter may appear as an item on a future agenda. If you wish to address the Planning Commission, please fill out a speaker card that's available on the back table. Once completed, kindly submit the card to the recording secretary. Speakers will be called to the podium one by one. Each speaker will be given up to 3 minutes to speak. Secretary Sanchez, are there any public comments?
No public comment at this time, sir.
Is there anyone in the public that wants to bring up an issue? Okay. So moving on to the consent calendar. All items listed on the consent calendar are considered routine, and recommendations will be approved in one motion unless a member of the Planning Commission or audience requests a separate discussion. Would any of the commissioners like to pull any of the items for a separate discussion? I guess that's a no. So we move to the approval of the minutes.
There's no public comment on minutes?
Does a motion need to be made?
All right, I'll move to approve. Yeah, I'll second that. Did someone move to?
I'll do what, did you first? You, if you go first, I'll go second, all right?
All right, got it. I move to approve.
Okay. So the meeting minutes are approved?
Please vote first.
Oh,
I can
please
take
vote. Okay.
Commissioner Tang?
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Lee is absent. Vice Chair McMorris?
Yes.
Thank you. Chair Kratman?
Yes.
3A's motion passes for the minutes.
Okay. Next item is the general plan annual progress report for the 2025 calendar. As required by Government Code Section 65400A2, the Planning Division is required to provide an annual report each April to the City Council and the State Governor's Office of Planning and Research regarding the status of the general plan and its implementation progress. Are there any public comments on this?
No public comment at this time, sir.
Okay. So, it's now, 6:36 p.m. Time for public comment on this issue. The issue is now closed. So, isn't there some presentation? Isn't there a staff report? No? No staff report. Okay. So now there would be a move to receive the file. There's, a
No
motion.
motion needed. It's a receive and file.
Okay.
Not an action item.
Okay. This is my first time doing this, so bear with me.
Hang in there. You're doing well.
Okay. So now there's no vote or anything. That's what I have.
Right? Yeah, no vote. Yep.
Okay. Now's the time for the public hearing.
Yes, thank you.
Samantha, could you please go over the public hearing procedure?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Chair, members of the Planning Commission. Copies of tonight's agenda are available on the city's website at www.sangabrielcity.com and also at the entrance. If anybody in the audience, the public, wishes to speak on an item this evening, please fill out a speaker card and submit it to the recording secretary, which is Damien this evening, and speaker cards are also available by the entrance. Please write down the item number, and speakers will be called up to the podium at the time of the public hearing item. Speakers will be given up to 3 minutes to speak. There are 2 public hearing items this evening for the Planning Commission to consider. For each item, staff will provide a summary of the staff report, followed by any clarifying questions from the Commission. Prior to the close of the public hearing, the Commission may ask questions of staff. However, once the public hearing is closed, the opportunity for public comment has ended, and the public hearing portion is closed, and the item will move to Commission deliberation. And so with that, Chair and Commission, staff is ready to present item A, which is also myself. Item A this evening is the annual report for the city's housing element, and this is for reporting year 2025, which is last year from January to December. So some facts about the annual report. It is a progress report that is for the 6th housing cycle, which is the current housing cycle for California, and it covers the period between 2021 to 2029. This report is the 4th report of the 8-year planning period, and it summarizes the number of units permitted and approved within the year. And again, this is for 2025. The annual progress report, it's utilized by the state to track and monitor every city's progress in addressing the regional housing needs allocation, which is commonly referred to the RHNA, RHNA. So as part of the Planning Commission's packet, the numbers are a little bit small on the slide, but there's a bigger version as attachment B within the report, and it shows the number of units approved and permitted, again, for the year 2025, and then 2029 will be the last reporting year for this 6th housing cycle. As shown in the report, it reflects the number of units permitted last year, and also from the first reporting year, which was the second half of 2021. As shown in the table, in 2021, second half, that's when the 6th cycle housing period first began. During that period, 12 units were permitted, and then in the following year in 2022, 82 units were permitted. In 2023, 69, 2024, 188, and 2025, 68. So around the 60 to the 70 appears to be the average, with the exception where the number is higher is due to mixed-use projects. So those would be the only spikes for the higher number. The annual report, it requires cities to report housing units that have been approved, entitled, and permitted. However, only units that have been issued building permits count towards the RHNA allocation, because those are the units that are actually constructed. So although staff reviewed, for example, approximately more than 130 applications in 2025, only 68 of those units moved on to obtaining building permits. The total number of units reported or that has been permitted within the past 4 years is 444 units. And that equates to 15% of the city's allocation, which again is 3,023 units. Accessory dwelling units, ADUs, they continue to make up a large percentage of the housing applications received for review and approvals, as staff just mentioned. And ADUs, we do count those towards affordable housing, again, due to the size of the units. Typically, they're converted garages or accessory structures, and also the unit types, which tend to be studio design or one-bedroom units. And in some cases, as mentioned, they do count towards the low income due to the use of the unit for extended family members, sometimes for generational living, where family members are living within the units, and sometimes without charge because they are utilized by family members. And so with that, the recommendation before the Planning Commission this evening is to adopt the attached resolution of the Planning Commission of the City of San Gabriel, California, recommending to the City Council to direct staff to submit the housing report to the Department of Housing and Community Development. And this concludes staff's presentation.
Okay, sorry. Thank you, Sam, that was great. Sorry. Are there any questions from the commissioners? Go ahead.
Just had a couple of questions about, and maybe staff doesn't know, but I'm going to ask them anyway because I'm interested. You said that out of the 100 and, I think you said, was it 138, that 68 could only go towards the arena numbers? Is that because the others are still in the works, or they were not approved, like they were told you can't build?
Because although staff, the requirement for reporting is to report the number of applications that were submitted and reviewed, the actions taken. However, the only numbers that count are the ones that have been permitted. So although applications are being submitted to the city and they're reviewed and they go through the process for review and approval, sometimes property owners, it either takes them a while to decide to move forward with the building permit, or sometimes a project just does not come to fruition for whatever personal reasons. And so although the applications are coming in, the actual physical construction of the unit is what count towards the arena.
So of the total 138, after the 68 that were approved, or yeah, I think that was the number, the rest could still get, they weren't denied, they could still be in the process.
That's correct, yes.
And then the last question I had was, because it seems like a lot of the lower income numbers come from the accessory dwelling units, and I know we have new state laws. Do we expect, and I'm asking you to speculate, I'm not going to hold you to these numbers, but because some of these laws that I guess are meant to streamline not just ADUs, but housing, do we expect to see these numbers increase next year because of these laws in terms of ADUs, things like that? Okay, I won't make you answer that. I'm just going to leave it at that. But, because I know we're talking about that later, but, okay, that's all, that's the only questions I had.
So I just have questions about Table B. I don't know if you want to pull that back up.
Yes.
Okay, great. So it shows that our target is 3,000 new houses roughly, just a little bit over. That's like 10% of the housing in San Gabriel.
That's
right?
correct, yes.
So a 10% increase in 8 years. And it looks like we are at 2,579 at the halfway point.
No, that would be the balance of what the city needs to continue
Oh,
to
okay.
encourage.
So that's a deduction. Okay, so we're still 22,579 short.
Yes.
Okay, in 4 years. So these numbers would have to go up pretty dramatically. Okay. So in 2024, I noticed there's a big spike there. 114 and 80. Were those were mostly, I assume, housing improvements, and then I'm just wondering why that spike is there.
Yeah,
So
because of
pretty
mixed-use
dramatic.
projects,
Okay. Okay. So some of those larger projects got
the
approved.
higher density ones.
Okay. Is there anything in the hopper that's, I guess I'm asking his question as well. Anything significant in the hopper?
So as the Planning Commission has seen over the past few years, the mixed-use projects do come before the Planning Commission and the City Council sometimes for approval. But similar to ADUs, although they are going through the process and the applications are submitted, the city cannot count those units until the building permits are obtained and paid for and construction begins.
Okay, thank you.
If I may, Chair. Yeah, the numbers that are assigned, the RENA numbers, do not require the city to build
Yes.
or have that many units built.
Yes.
It requires the city to make land available and have regulations in place which comply with state law and not restrict building in an unlawful manner. But as long as we have the available land that is zoned to meet these RENA numbers,
I apologize.
and our regulations comply with state law, all we can do is encourage developers to come in and build, but ultimately it is up to the private enterprise to move the projects forward.
Makes sense. Are there any other questions? Are there any questions? Are there any questions from the public?
No public comment at this time, sir.
So is there a motion to approve this report?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second that.
Can you go ahead and take the roll?
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
Commissioner Tang?
Yes?
Thank you. Commissioner Lee is absent. Vice Chair McMorris?
Yes.
Thank you. Chair Kratman?
Yes.
Thank you. 3 ayes, motion passes.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is citywide planning case number ZTA 26-002, zone text amendment. Applicant is the City of San Gabriel. Presentation will be made by Associate Planner Marlon Cervantes.
Thank you. Good evening, Chair and members of the Planning Commission. The item before you tonight is a citywide zone text amendment to update the San Gabriel Municipal Code relating to accessory dwelling units and junior accessory dwelling units to implement the requirements of Assembly Bills 130, 462, 1154, and Senate Bills 543 and 1211. Each of the bills was signed by Governor Newsom with the goal of further encouraging the construction of ADUs and junior ADUs. Here you'll see a brief overview of each of the Assembly bills. AB 130 restricts local agencies from imposing objective standards on ADUs in multifamily dwelling structures. AB 462 requires the issuance of certificate of occupancy to an ADU, even if one has not been issued for the primary dwelling unit, in a county that is subject to a proclamation of a state of emergency made by the governor on or after February 1st, 2025, if certain requirements are met. AB 1154 removes the owner occupancy requirement for a junior ADU unless sanitation facilities are shared with the main house. And AB 1154 also requires that the rental term for a junior ADU shall be longer than 30 days. Senate Bill 543 revises the way in which floor area is calculated for ADUs and junior ADUs and requires cities to determine whether an application for an ADU and junior ADU is complete within 15 business days of submittal. Senate Bill 1211 increases the maximum number of detached ADUs allowed on lots with an existing multifamily dwelling from 2 units to 8, not to exceed the number of units existing on the lot. It also prohibits local agencies from imposing development standards, objective or otherwise, on ADUs meeting Section 66323 of the California Government Code. The following slides show how applicable zoning code language will be modified in compliance with each of the previously mentioned state bills. The definitions for multifamily dwelling and single-family dwelling are being amended as shown, consistent with the state's Department of Housing and Community Development, to clarify what types of structures qualify as multifamily for the purpose of determining the number of allowable ADUs. These definitions clarify that multiple detached single-family units on a single lot are not considered multifamily structures. The definition of gross floor area is also being modified to exclude ADUs and junior ADUs from being measured to exterior walls. The next few slides go into more detail regarding the specific language that is being amended in the code. The table shown on the screen is being updated both to reflect the terminology used in the definitions seen on the previous slide, as well as the maximum number of ADUs allowed on lots with existing multifamily structures being increased again from 2 to 8 units. Proposed multifamily developments will still be subject to the two detached ADU limit. Consistent with the gross floor area definition, this section is being added to clarify that the floor area for ADUs and junior ADUs shall be based on the interior living space and not to exterior walls, as applies to floor area in other floor area calculations. As previously mentioned, new state law prohibits cities from requiring owner occupancy for junior ADUs, except in cases where the junior ADU and the existing house share sanitation facilities, and that junior ADUs shall not be rented out for a period of less than 30 days. The underlined code sections seen here address these changes. The following two slides reflect the changes that apply to ADUs and junior ADUs under Government Code Section 66323, which requires ministerial approval and prohibits the city from imposing any further development standards. The changes on this slide amend existing code language to update how the floor area of an ADU is to be counted, as well as the height restrictions that apply. Similarly, the changes on this slide amend the code language to update the maximum number of ADUs, as previously discussed, from 2 to 8 for existing multifamily structures. New state law requires that a certificate of occupancy be issued for an ADU in a county that is subject to a proclamation of a state of emergency made by the governor on or after February 1st, 2025. This amendment adds language to the municipal code consistent with state law that applies to dwellings that were substantially damaged or destroyed by an event referenced in the state of emergency proclamation issued by the governor, and that the ADU has been issued construction permits and passed all required inspections. This section also exempts attached ADUs from the state of emergency proclamation. Senate Bill 543 updates timelines that cities must follow for ADU and junior ADU applications. The amended code language reflects this change by requiring a 15-business-day window by which the city must determine whether the application is complete or incomplete. Incomplete determinations must include a list of incomplete or missing items and how they can be made complete. This slide continues from the previous slide, stating that a resubmitted application is subject to the same timelines, and if the timelines is exceeded, that the application or resubmitted application shall be deemed to be complete. The proposed amendments were reviewed for compliance with the California Environmental Quality Act. Pursuant to Section 15061B3 of the CEQA guidelines, the amendment to a zoning ordinance is not considered a project as defined in Section 15378 and can be seen with certainty that it will not have a significant effect on the environment. Tonight's public hearing was advertised in the San Gabriel Sun on January 8th, 2026. The agenda for this meeting was also posted in advance at City Hall, the San Gabriel Public Library, and the San Gabriel Post Office, as well as the city's website. With that, staff recommends that the Planning Commission adopt a resolution of the Planning Commission of the City of San Gabriel recommending approval of the proposed zone text amendment to the City Council, amending Chapter 153 of the San Gabriel Municipal Code relating to accessory dwelling units and junior accessory dwelling units. That concludes the presentation.
Thank you, Marlon.
Chair, if I may add, staff approximately an hour and a half before the meeting received the email. You do have a copy of it. What I would recommend is, because there's not enough time to digest and provide you a meaningful response to points that were raised, numerous points that were raised. My recommendation would be that when you adopt a resolution, you also direct staff to take the time and address these issues when the resolution and an ordinance amending the code will come before the city council. If there is merit to what's being addressed, obviously the staff will so advise and make the amendments. If we disagree with the points that are raised in there, we will also so advise the council and let them make a final decision on the wording of the ordinance.
That sounds very sensible. This is several pages, and it's very dense, and there's a lot of code references and things like that to it, so it definitely needs to be digested over quite a period of time. So, okay, are there any questions from the Planning Commission for the staff?
Oh, yeah. Just in piggybacking on what the city attorney said, that sounds like a good suggestion. And if I may, just as a planning commissioner, make a, what is the word I'm looking for? I guess, I don't know if it's an opinion or a recommendation for the city council to streamline this process where possible. It seems like I haven't, again, like you, I haven't read this whole letter. If any of it is correct, then obviously we go about it that way. If some of it is incorrect, but if the city feels like implementing some of these things will help to streamline this ADU process, I encourage the council to consider that. I don't own a home, but I have spoken to many people who say it is such a bear, not just San Gabriel, I don't know, but surrounding cities, really a lot of hurdles to get up ADUs, and it seems like they make up a significant portion of our RENA units. So I'm hoping that the city will consider streamlining it as much as they can. That's just my comment to add as this for the minutes as this recommendation goes forward.
Do you have any questions, Commissioner Tang? I'm curious about the ADUs. How many applications do we receive per year for an ADU? Do you have that information?
My ballpark estimate would be anywhere between 100 to 150.
Yeah.
Most of those are, I'd say all of those are approved. I don't remember ever denying an ADU. Sometimes when applicants receive comments on their incomplete applications, they don't follow up. But otherwise, all of the ADU applications we receive are approved after 1 or 2 reviews. So anywhere between 100 and 150 a year, I'd say. I guess to your point earlier, I don't know if our requirements for an ADU are necessarily what's hindering some of them from being built. It may be construction costs or other things that are external to our processes.
Of those 100 to 150, how many turn into building permits, do you know?
I would say anywhere between a quarter to half of them. Yeah, so
Thank
anywhere,
you.
yeah.
Thank you.
30 to
I am
70.
aware of,
Yeah.
I'm in construction, I'm aware of the high cost. Construction costs have doubled since COVID.
Yeah.
So,
I think one additional thing to note is that because many of these are led by homeowners as opposed to people in the construction fields, they may not anticipate the construction cost when they initially make the application, and when they're then met with those construction costs, it may cause them to reconsider their projects.
yes, I know.
Could I just add? Just to add to that, when I said streamline it, I wasn't an indictment on the St. Gabriel's process, just in general in the region. And on top of that, I don't know, it seems like the process here goes fairly smoothly, but also part of the prohibitive aspect is fees. So if there's any way, obviously, construction costs have skyrocketed, but if there are ways that the city can reduce some of the fees that might be restrictive, that would, I think, also help to get more ADUs built.
Chair, may I speak a little bit on this one as well?
Yes.
I know a lot of people do ADUs, and I think SB9 will consider it as like affordable housing as well. It should be in the same category. Is that correct, Marlon?
Would you mind clarifying?
For the affordable unit count, I think SB9 is very similar to the ADU in terms of like the unit count toward the low-income affordability, right?
That I'm not familiar with. To this point, we have not had a single SB9 unit built, primarily because without actually doing the lot split, which SB9 allows, you're still limited to one unit, and the ADU is actually allows for a larger unit than an SB9 unit would allow. If you were to subdivide the unit, subdivide the property, you are ultimately allowed to build a total of 4 units on what was once one lot and is now 2. However, there are additional fees that go with a subdivision. The city, in compliance with state law for Senate Bill 9, allows for those subdivisions without public hearing, without meeting our current minimum lot size requirements in the single-family zones. However, there are other hurdles to clear, such as, again, hiring an engineer to do the tentative and final maps. Excuse me?
And all the fees that go along with it, sewer,
Right,
water.
all the
of
additional
that, that's
utility
right, yeah.
connection fees for, yep.
Yeah, I know like for ADU, it's been out for like the longest since like 2017, 2018. I think SB9 just came out recently. I think the whole point of the SB9 is to subdivide lots, so like there's more chance that people own the property. So Marlon's correct. There is certain fee in terms of like subdivision, stuff like that. I guess that's why many people are kind of sway away from it. And, just if I ask for myself, I'm trying to do it SB9 also, and I feel like the cost might be not work out as much, but we'll see what happens. I think the state just trying to get more housing, more people can be own home, and like more affordability living, so they're trying to push for that. But yeah, thank you for the presentation. It's very clear, and I think it's aligned with the new ordinance that the state.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Marlon. Are there any public comments on this issue? Great.
The only comment was the one that was submitted to the record, sir.
Okay, thank you, Damien.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the staff report?
I think the minutes and obviously staff will also relay this to the city council, that the approval of the resolution, if the resolution is approved to move this forward to the council, includes an analysis of the February 9th, 2026 letter from HDF with regard to the points that were raised. And staff will analyze those and present them to the council based on your recommendation.
Is there a motion to approve? Oh,
I was just going to say, I'll make the motion that the city attorney just outlined, so, rather than,
I second.
All right, Commissioner Tang? Commissioner Lee is absent. Vice Chair McMorris?
yes.
Chair Kratman?
Yes.
3 ayes, motion passes.
We move on to comments from the Assistant Director.
No comments, Chair.
Thank you. Next section is Commissioner comments and conference meeting reports. Each commissioner may address the commission on matters of general information and concern. This is also the time for commissioners to report on conferences and or meetings they have attended. Do you have any comments? Do you have any comments? Commissioner Tay.
I guess I have one thing in mind. You know, like, I'm not sure if this is the right place to talk about stop sign or traffic safety or not, but I'll just bring it up and let me know stop me if I go a little bit sideline. I know there's on Vincent Lugo at that locations where the hill is going down, traveling from east to west. There's a hill that going down this way, going down. I feel like there's really a lot of kids that walk across the street, and I feel like the sight distance is not there, and the speed go down can be pretty dangerous. I would recommend to put like a stop sign there, is because the vertical sight distance is not there. So I highly recommend to maybe look at it, do a little study to it, because it's very dangerous. Myself, my family trying to cross I feel like it's a very dangerous location.
Thank you, Commissioner. I think, obviously, this item is not agendized, and it's not really meant for discussion at this meeting, or probably not even at any planning commission meeting. This more pertains to city engineering and road design. There are many factors, I will just tell you, that go into placement of stop signs and intersections, and there are liabilities and benefits flowing from each. We will relay your comments to the city engineer, Public Works Director, and he will take a look at it, I'm sure. I can't tell you how he'll proceed, because there are many issues. Putting up a stop sign is not just, hey, this would be a good place for a stop sign. It creates a lot of other concerns, and it has a spider web of effects that takes place. But we will certainly relay your comments to the Public Works Director and let him know that you've raised a concern.
Thank you.
Okay, I have a comment on fire sprinklers. Okay, so this relates to section 903.2. D, 903.2, of the San Gabriel Municipal Code. This basically states that alterations or additions to a house or structure that exceed 25% of the building have to have fire sprinklers, or if the building's over 4,000 square feet gross. So my reading of that code is that the clear intent of that code is if you can afford to increase the size of your house by 25% or up to 4,000 square feet, then you have enough scratch to add fire sprinklers. However, the way the code is currently applied or interpreted is they just take the gross square footage of the area impacted. So for instance, if you have a 1,000 square foot home and 250 square feet of that are the combined size of your kitchen and dining room, and you remove a screen wall between the two, now you have to fire sprinkler your whole house, which is a pretty significant expense, especially when you're talking, if you're just removing a screen wall, a non-load bearing wall, it's like $500. But now you've got to put in a $15,000 sprinkler system, at least. So I think that what that does is it prohibits homeowners from improving their properties, from having the open concept kitchen, which is more sociable and more agreeable to people these days, rather than having the totally separated kitchen. Also, I just want to note that there are other municipalities that have a similar code, but it's not as stringent. Pasadena is 40% of the improvement, and San Marino is 50% of the improvement. And Pasadena applies to additions only, not remodels, but San Gabriel is both additions and remodels and 25%. So you could interpret the code where the gross square footage is just the footprint of the wall that's removed. and that would solve the problem. Or you could just revise the code entirely. But I think when you take that just gross square footage, you end up with a lot of unintended consequences.
But your request here is to see if the planning commission is agreeable to agendizing a discussion on that item. And
Yes.
potentially send a recommendation to the city council and the fire chief, I would imagine.
Yes, so my suggestion is that we put this on the agenda, not that I'm trying to, make the improvement myself. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I think that's great. I would agree with you as well on terms of that. I think many cities are doing like up to 40%, 50% of addition before you require the fire sprinkler for the same reason that you're talking about, right? So I think we should, maybe our city talk to the fire sprinkler or...
Yeah, I don't suggest that we have a conversation or discussion on this issue now, just whether the council, and right now we have majority that says that it would like to see it on the agenda, and I think it's up to you, Councilman.
Always happy to look at these things. Just a request that, and I know you will, the staff provide kind of a layman's and description of, I kind of understood what he was getting at, but I just want to make sure I understand what current law does and what we could do, yeah.
And there is, there are compliance with state fire codes. There's a building codes as well. Also, our geography, the density of the city, the height of the buildings also dictates sometimes when sprinklers are required. But staff will provide you with a summary of all those issues and then leave it up to you to discuss and take it from there.
Great. So I move that we put this on the agenda. Does anybody second?
I'll second that.
Secretary?
We just need consensus. All in favor?
Yes.
Okay.
The record will make note.
If I may, I'll probably bring up another item similar to yours. This is regarding the front yard setback. I know for LA County, City County, I think currently right now in our city, we have a front yard setback for residential home, R1 is 20 feet, or the neighbor house right next to your house. So you look at your house and your left house and your right house, and you do the average of that or the 20 feet. So I used to work for City of LA also, and we do how we do the front yard setback is we don't just rely on just one house. We rely the average of the block of the house or 20 feet, for example. So because sometimes there is a house that built back in 1900 or earlier than that, they have like a 40 feet setback or sometimes 50 feet setback. Now that you have to only rely to your next door neighbor to have that similar setback instead of that block of like everyone have like 20 feet, 15 feet, and you do the average of that whole block and you do the average. It makes more sense in that way instead of just rely on only one neighbor right next to you to do that. But I feel like that is a hardship for some people who want to build a house, but then the one neighbor that actually next to them that had like a 50 feet yard setback instead of the average of 20 feet or as a whole block in general. So I know the LA County does the same thing also. They look at the whole block, block, and they do the average of all the house front yard setback or the 20 feet.
Is it true that they only compare the next two houses, the one on each side?
Yes, however, there is a caveat for homes with, so the front yard setback is actually a range between 20 and 35 feet, but no less than the average of the two adjacent homes, one on either side. However, if there's any homes that are outliers, similar to what you mentioned, Commissioner Tang, if there's a home that's either less than 20 or greater than 35-foot setback, for the purpose of this calculation, it shall be considered to be either the maximum in cases where it exceeds the 35 feet or the minimum where it is under the 25 feet.
Yeah, because right now I think we have the requirement of 20 feet minimum, as minimum, correct?
Correct. And
Okay.
yeah. So if there's any homes, for example, if you happen to live next to a home that has a 15-foot setback, for the purposes of that calculation, it'll be 20.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. And the opposite is true for a greater setback as well.
Yeah, so I think it's good to be aligned with that. I feel like it's a lot more fair because you look at that one block and you should be in the average of that block instead of just that couple houses next to you. So I would recommend to bring that.
Did
to
I just
the
hear that if there are houses nearby that have a 35-foot or greater setback, that's already accounted for?
Yeah, again, for the purpose of that calculation, in the example that was given, if there's a house next door to you that has a 50-foot setback, it shall only be calculated as a 35-foot setback. So you wouldn't have to also meet that 50-foot setback. You can do the average of the two, with the maximum being 35 and the other setback being.
I agree to that, yeah.
We're now getting a little bit too deep into discussion that's not on the agenda.
No, it's good. It's okay. I just want to bring it up and maybe we can bring it to the city council.
Sorry, is there a motion for something or just discussion on that?
I would like to make the motion to bring this to the city council similar to,
Again, this item is not agendized. You could suggest that
suggest,
the
yeah.
staff prepare it and put it in front of the planning commission for discussion. But as already explained by staff, we already do that. So if you have two houses and one sits 50 feet back and one is here, your house is not measured by this house. It's measured by the 35-foot maximum setback. So it's already averaged out. We already do that in the city.
let's say if the house is 34 feet, then you have to, now like most houses like around 20 feet, now you have to be like next, the
It's the
34
average
feet.
of the two.
Yeah.
The average of the two, so if the house next to you, if the house to your right is at 20 feet and the house to your left is at 35 feet, then your house can be the average of the two, so the split between. Even if that house, it has like a 60-foot setback, it's still treated as only 35 feet.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I guess we move to adjourn? Okay. I move to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second?
Okay.